I'm currently building a 48-foot tall multi-generational passive ICF house. And when you're doing a DIY style, you got a number of challenges that you got to overcome. So one of them has to do with reinforcing the concrete above all of these big openings. So let me show you a couple of options that you have. So when you have really wide openings, one of the options is you can see that steel beam back in there. That's one option. That's a really expensive option because that beam was about 26 feet and cost a little over $1,200. So the first structural engineering firm that I went with, they actually had a non-licensed engineer that was working on my project. He was not familiar with ICF, and so he kept wanting to put these big steel beams going across the large openings. Well, one of the problems, one, yes, it would have worked, but two, my gosh, that's really expensive. And the problem was he didn't know that you can actually create your own concrete lentils with rebar going across the large openings like this. And so with the large opening, the other structural engineering firm that I ultimately ended up having to pay to redo the plans all over again, they did understand ICF and ICF lentils. And so with the really wide opening, like this one specifically, what they called for was 36-inch tall stirrups, and then number 5, rebar both above and below those stirrups. And so, and then also let me go ahead and show you some of the other large openings that I've got. So I've got these 2 windows on this level. Both of those are 10 feet wide. So those require concrete lintels, and then I have 2 10-foot windows up above. Those also require them, and then I have a couple other windows that are about 7 to 8 feet. So basically anything under 6 feet, I mean everything requires lentils, but about 7 feet and above and about 6 feet and below, it's a little bit different. And let me show you what it looks like inside of the blocks. So pretend it like, so this is the 32-inch lintel, and so pretend like there's actually 2 pieces of rebar here, because technically there needs to be 2, and then 2 pieces of rebar down at the bottom. The bottom is actually just above the opening of your window. But anyways, you are able to see that 32-inch stirrup that goes all the way to the top. And my structural engineer requires those ones to be placed every foot. And then for the smaller openings, I actually have to do the 16-inch stirrups every 6 inches. So basically in between every set of my webs, I have to do the smaller one. And there's a couple of designs that you can do for creating your stirrups. So this is the design that I'm going with, mainly just because so far on my windows it's working out that I don't actually have to lift up my rebar. And instead, this just hooks on the top, and then that's down on the bottom. And then you can see the bigger ones as well. So in terms of how I ended up saving literally thousands of dollars by bending my own rebar, and it really doesn't take that long. It takes about 15 minutes to do 50 of these 32-inch stirrups. And if you bend it yourself, then you can pay for this very cool machine that costs around 2,000 bucks. It not only cuts the rebar, but it also bends it. And you can see I can bend 180, 135, 90, 45. And what's nice too is when it comes to just laying my horizontal rebar that you have to do every 16 inches, at least with my design, I'm able to actually save rebar by bending it for what I need in those corners. And same thing, cutting it for what I need above the windows. And so I've saved thousands and thousands of dollars by investing in this $2,000 machine. So let me go ahead and show you how it works. So we'll see if this works for me. All right. So I've set up a little jig. I basically already pre-cut them. I set up the jig so that was exactly 40 inches. And for my 32-inch ones, I'm actually just going with a 40-inch piece of number 3 rebar, which is what my structural engineer calls for. So I need to put 2 bends on this. This machine actually can bend 2 pieces at a time. So that's kind of cool, save time on that. And so my first bend that I'm going to do is the 180. So I turn this to where the white means that it's the number 3 rebar. And then I simply just put it in here. I have this concrete stake sitting right there to show me that I'm exactly 2 inches past the edge of the machine. And then it's really as simple as you just pull the trigger. And because I don't need a perfect 180 for what I'm doing, that's why it's a little bit short. And the reason why I went with 40 inches is because I've got 20-foot pieces of number 3 rebar, and 40 inches goes into 20 feet almost perfectly. So I think I get like 6 or 7 pieces, I can't remember for sure, out of every 20-foot stick. So now that I have this bent, then, and usually what I'll do is I'll just do all of them, the 180, but just to show you the 90, I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over, make sure that this is kind of perpendicular, 90 degrees away. And on this, my jig is actually the edge of the machine. So that's, I'm able to line up the rebar exactly at the edge, turn it to the 90, and then just pull the trigger. And then I end up with stirrups. So anyways, if you want to follow along as I do this crazy journey of DIYing this 48-foot tall passive ICF house, be sure to like and subscribe. If not, thanks for watching.